Today's episode of the Steady Trade Podcast is brought to you in part by Tradier Brokerage. Take your equity and options trading to the next level by visiting try.tradier.com. That's try.tradier.com. Tradier Brokerage allows you to trade on your own terms by offering commission-free equity and options trading with no per-contract fees. You also get access to Tradier's real-time APIs and unparalleled customer service, which all easily link to your stocks to trade account. Start trading today by visiting try.tradier.com.
Like,
it sucks, but
at the absolute minimum, you need to have a watch list at the start of the day and go back through it at the end of the day and say, what did each stock do? Which stock needs to be rolled over at the absolute minimum?
See, and like I did that, like for me, I didn't have to deal with the PDT. It was around. I just had enough money. I didn't have to deal with it when I was learning. But keep in mind, 2006, 2007, I had babies, business, I had a lot going on. So there were a lot of days I couldn't trade, but I still did that.
You're listening to the Steady Trade Podcast, a podcast that inspires traders to make meaningful strides and pursue their passions. Your hosts are Tim Bowen, the lead trainer at Stocks to Trade Pro, Kim Ann Curtin, the Wall Street coach, and Steven Johnson, the up-and-coming trader who's always willing to learn. Together, we'll sit down with experts to talk about their process, the lessons they've learned, and discuss how all traders can level up their trading careers.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Steady Trade Podcast. Quite possibly, just a little bit of foreshadowing to clue you in, quite possibly the worst podcast of the Steady Trade series in a couple of years. I say that because we don't have Kim to keep Steven and I in line. So who knows? Who knows where this could go? I have no idea. We have no plan. Steven and I mean, keep in mind, Steven and I have no plan. Our preparation is zero. So we trust Kim to guide us, to keep us on point, to keep us from completely going off the rails. I mean, we still go off the rails a little bit, but as we're careening off the cliff, she kind of pulls us back. But that being said, welcome back to the Steady Trade Podcast. Welcome back, Steven. Feels like the old days.
I literally just showed up and I was just thinking, what's the plan? And the plan is no plan. So I like that.
But we do have plenty to talk about. So the biggest thing we're going to start with, and we'll kind of see where we end up. But yesterday, so we're recording on August 18th, 2021. And yesterday, we had, it was kind of slow. I know we recorded some episodes about slow summer, and man, it was kind of slow, but it wasn't like true August, but I mean, it was a little bit slower. But then yesterday we had VRPX, which was a 2 or 3 million float stock, if I remember right. History of running, by the way. Now normally runs and then dies, but the stock has put a history of running in. And then yesterday proceeded to go from 8, in pre-market this morning hit 39. So basically 8 to 40, 180 million shares traded yesterday. And it really woke things up today. I mean, Steven was on the Steady Trade team webinar this morning, and I mean, I had like 10 crappy biotechs on my watch list that were running, because we see this when everyone wants to find that next VRPX. So we're gonna talk about the reemergence and the one day of slow summer trading we had. But
I mean, look, I've been very clued into what other people are saying, other traders are saying, because when the market goes kind of slow, you kind of want to have different touch points to be like, are you experiencing what I'm experiencing? You're looking for a little bit of confirmation. And when everyone's saying pull back, the market slow, then you kind of know pull back because the market's slow. And when people are saying, I used to go for 10 and 15% long, I'm honestly taking 6 and 7%. I've just cut me profit targets in half because the momentum, the Momo is not there. Then you know you need to like kind of scale back, wait for something to set the market on fire again. Most famously, and we'll get into VRPX, but most famously, do you remember SPI? SPI set the market on fire after what was a very slow few months.
If I remember right, and obviously the listeners can Google, I want to say that was August as well. That was like around there. It was late summer. I might be wrong, but yeah, I still remember SPI because it was just like going insane during the podcast and then proceeded to like double again after we ended, I believe. But yeah,
I think September 22. I think it was September 22nd. Must have been slow.
Close.
I think August was not bad last year, but September kind of didn't pick up at the pace it should have. So everyone's kind of like, what's going on? It's September. We're not picking up. Then SPI happens. Now, I think what's fascinating about SPI and VRPX, both set the market back alight, both 2 to 3 million floats, both have a history of gapping and failing, and then just caught fire all of a sudden, and both had experienced unprecedented volume that they've never had in the stock history before. So they're all popped and failed on 40 million, 50 million. But in 2021, when you're hitting 150, 200 million, and you're a 1 to 2 million float, and everyone's expecting things to fail, it only takes one.
Yeah, SPI. Speaking of which, yeah, it was September 23rd would have been the day.
Was it?
But you were one day off, close enough. But 400 million shares, and it traded at 30, 40, $46, $47 a top. I mean, that's $1 billion in dollar volume of a sketchy, terrible, super duper sketch petroleum stock, and VRPX, same thing. I mean, just terrible stock, but the dollar volume is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is like, there's two things I want to flag with you, and whenever I say I want to flag two things, I forget the first one, and I set myself up to look like an idiot every single time. And I almost forgot the same one again. The first one, the first one thing is I want to talk about momentum and why sometimes momentum works and momentum plays work, and sometimes they don't. But the other thing is, I tracked the gap as, believe this, right? I tracked the gap as for all of August. So you'll have a gap by like up 20%, whatever, runs, whether it runs all day or it doesn't. Do you know how many gapped up the next day and had follow through this month?
So like percentage is my answer.
Yeah. So just say anything. So what I'm saying is,
Yep.
Something gaps 20%, runs. Does it date? Do you know what percentage day two'd? Like, do you know what they ran the next day? They didn't gap down and come down.
For August, man. Listen, full disclosure, I'm guessing here. 65%.
92% came down.
Jeez!
92. I've got the data.
No kidding. Wow.
Like one
I didn't. I wanted to skew to the upside, but I felt like maybe I was going a little high. I thought if I was wrong, you were going to say like 75%. Like I didn't realize I was off by 30%.
Like, not the crazy first screen days, not the OTC, specifically stocks that gapped in the morning, like 25%. Anything that ran gapped down the next day and failed. There was literally one. So puts us to the point in case, VRPX. What happens when it doesn't gap down?
Right.
It literally goes like $15 gap up because everyone, all shorts are like, whew, this month they all come down. So I'll be fine. I'm stuck. I'm underwater, but they all come down.
Yeah, and just for context, so VRPX at 8 p.m., remember NASDAQ stock, so trades up till 8 p.m. Eastern. It closed at 1875 into the 8 p.m. close. And then at 7:30 a.m., it hit 39. So it basically doubled again in pre-market. roughly in essence. So
I mean, what a swing. I mean, it was just too much of a difficult trade. I think if you'd missed that morning entry, I know there was a very clean morning entry at around like 11 o'clock in the morning. If you'd missed that in your VWAP, it was that kind of VWAP hold, I think, that you talk about.
Yeah, but listen, full disclosure. I mean, again, yesterday afternoon, two things yesterday afternoon in the Steady Trade team webinar, someone asked me about shorting it, and I went on a freaking rant. I'm like, man, no. Now that late day, it was just kind of, just all over the place into the close.
Late day,
so I didn't gap it. Okay, I didn't take it. Now it went all the way up to like $20 at 4:30 p.m. But again, I just listen. I think that so my point is, what I'm trying to spit out is, there's two valid approaches to VRPX yesterday afternoon. You either ignore it or you take some small size long. But if you're thinking about shorting this thing, you're freaking crazy, man.
But you can't long that, because if 92%,
but you got like 10 shares,
92% of the gap has gap down, you're playing a strategy that's stupid. I mean, unless you start seeing it moving after hours and it's definitely holding, and then you're like, all right, this is the one. But the other point of the 2 points that I was going to make is PMCB wouldn't have worked today. Wouldn't have worked.
Correct. Yeah.
Unless VRPX had happened yesterday. So I just want to talk about how kind of one ticker can set the market on fire. And I don't think, I don't know if PMCB is related. Is it a biotech as well?
It's a biotech, but I don't think they're in the same sector. I don't think they have anything like relation. I just think, in my opinion, you had a 2 million float biotech, and that's the only thing that they had in common. So,
but do you know what's outrageous? And this is something I've only I kind of always knew, but it's just outrageous for me. It's if the stock is on, if it's easy to borrow, if it's a 1 million float, right? There's 1 million shares of that float. If you want a short of 1 million float, it costs like ridiculous amounts of money to borrow, like $40 for 100 shares, $30 for 100 shares on a 1 million float, because everyone wants them, right?
Mm-hmm.
If this is a 1 million float and it's easy to borrow, that means the whole float are going to be short because everyone's going to take it. And to a degree, there must be lending more than 1 million. Like that must go over 100% short. You would think, if all of the brokers are giving it.
I gotta believe, again, I mean, it's like, again, PMCB, we're recording at 145 and it's traded 170 million shares. I mean, it's like, and it's gone from, yesterday, this is a $2.50 stock, and it went to $10 today. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, and I'm not one of these conspiracy guys. I mean, I know I like to joke about Bigfoot and black helicopters and all this crap, but it's like, I just gotta believe that there's way more. There's either some inventory that we don't know about, which would be a question for like JJ, VWAP trader, or there's just brokers that are allowing you to naked short. I mean, or I don't know. I don't have it. That is something that we should probably specifically discuss with JJ at some point, is like, what are the mechanics of that,
Yeah, I know. But I mean, but the point that I wanted to make is, if it's easy to borrow and it's trading 15 million pre-market, and when you look at its volume history, it's like never really, it's like ran before on like 40, 50 million, but when it's set to trade like 200 million on the day, it's almost like the news doesn't matter. The chart doesn't matter. All what matters is that you get a good structure to buy off during the day. Like it's literally a trading vehicle, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think that's why you see, again, that's why you see, like this morning. I mean, when I know I talk about like these whole dollar, half dollars and high a day breaks, but it's like, I just think again, it's like, somebody, and this goes back to the JJ podcast, is just like, they just, and I've done this analogy so many times on the podcast, even before JJ, I always have that volume knob where or it's like a throttle, like on a boat or something. And it's like they just ease the throttle up to that high a day or that whole dollar, half dollar, or that green to red or that 52-week high. And then they just boom. And it's like all of a sudden PMCB hits $6. All of a sudden it's, it halted, but basically it's instant. If it wasn't for the halts, I mean, it instantly went to $9, as soon as it hit $6.
Now, there's two things I want to talk to you about based on the Steady Trade broadcast that you did this morning. I thought there's two interesting points in it that you brought up to the group during the live pre-market session. The first thing that you pointed at was the big move through high of day, and you are saying that's shorts getting squeezed. And I was trying to type as much as I can because I wanted to add to it as like, it's not only shorts getting squeezed, it's those stops. Because I mean, if you're a sensible short, you've got to stop, right?
Sure.
Sensible, you've got to stop. But the slippage on those stops are absolutely catastrophic. And I mean, for me, you are dead on. The amount of times I've taken absolutely awful. I mean, PMCB, it went from 670 to pretty much 850. So it went about 15-20%. You would have lost about 6-7% slippage. And that is literally everyone long on the high of day, shorts covering the high of day. And you've got 15% move in 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I mean, that's why, and that is why, that point you make is, and here we go. I got to give the whole disclaimer. I'll keep it short this time, but, I am not anti-short selling. And I know, listen, I know I post the memes. I talk a lot of smack. It's fun. Again, nobody gets more easily butthurt than shorts. If they didn't get so easily butthurt, I wouldn't do it all the time. But I am not against short selling. But the point I'm making is back to Steven's point is, if you're a newbie and that starts happening to you, man, it's all over. It's like, you don't know what to do. I mean, it's classic deer in headlights. You can't change the orders fast enough. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You start using market orders and it turns into an absolute disaster. So that's why I'm like, don't do this if you're new. Okay. I get it. It's tempting, it's like you see the big numbers on social media, you see the big numbers everywhere, but it's like when it goes bad, it goes so bad that you can have good intentions. Okay. You can say I'm stopping out here, but you can't, you can try, but you can try and say you're going to stop out at 650, but all of a sudden it's 758. And if you have a small account, it's done. It's over.
Yeah,
you're done.
It comes to experience, and I remember reading in a book of one of the people that we interviewed. If you want to manage your risk, being a racing driver, you drive a car really fast, and then you'll start learning how to react to things in that speed and time. And you've just got to be prepared. Like you cannot be shortening the market unless you've seen it for a few years.
Exactly.
Because for PMCB, I'm thinking this is like almost definitely going to go. Like almost definitely. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But like I'm not touching it short till 10 o'clock. If I do at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's going to go. So you're just watching for the signs. Then you take the entry. And if you're short and you're staffed enough to short it, you're thinking I'm short, but this could definitely go. So your hand is on cover. Your hand's on cover. And you're already mentally prepared to say, if I get stopped out, I'm not adding emotionally because I know it's a stupid trade in the first place. So do you know what I mean? So it's about
yep. Yeah, I mean, and I think that, that is one of those things where, people ask like, how do I stick to these stops? And, it's like, listen, if you have enough bad things happen to you, you'll stick to those stops. We joke about the whole pain thing all the time. Yeah, exactly.
The market is terrible, and everyone's got a different pain threshold, but the market will always put you back in your place. But what I wanted to talk to you about is you seemed at the end of the podcast, at the end of the morning webinar, you seemed a little bit like you were sad that people had missed the trade, but you knew you were giving the right advice to new traders, but you were stuck emotionally. You seemed a bit upset. You were stuck.
Well,
do you want to talk about it? Do you want to let it out?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you're actually paying attention. I feel like
I listen to everything.
I feel like sometimes it's like people ask, like, I'll answer something, and then 10 minutes later they ask the same question. I'm like, what am I? And it's like,
oh, it was interesting.
So you're paying attention. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you're right. I mean, I was bummed because, here it is. I mean, it's halting to the upside. I think when I ended the webinar, it would have been, 9:50 a.m. ish. The stock's at 8+, and I'm like, you're right. I mean, I was torn. I was like, I know I'm giving the right advice, but at the same time, the stock spiked $4 a share at the open, and people are going to be like, well, why did you caution us to wait for 9:45? Why did you caution us to be careful? Remember, and for the listener, no news on PMCB. Now, again, VRPX's news is very dubious, but at least it had something. There was no PR on PMCB. It was a chat pump. So it's like, I gotta try and keep people safe, but then the thing spikes $3 a share. It's like, damn, it's like, so it's tough. It's one of those situations where it's like coaching, it's like you draw up the right play and you try and put people on the path, but sometimes the other team figures out the play and you lose the game, and it's like, so I don't know. It was a tough one, I admit, because listen, I spent half an hour begging people to wait till later because of lack of PR and chat pump. And then it was just a beautiful $3 spike at the open. So,
but yeah, I mean, the thing was though, like, you did everything right in relation to the fact of you're saying, look, this is my main watch. This is the top watch. This is the one we're focusing on. This is the one that we're watching at the open. Everyone was ready and prepared on that stock, but it's like, that's where there's like a gray area, because those who can react quickly and have seen the price action and know the context and they've seen it before can take the trade if they wish. Like,
and several people did, entry. And you did, yeah.
There was an entry at the open. If you want to be aggressive, there was an entry at 9:30. You've got 6%. Stop lower day. But then for the newbies, what are you going to answer in their email when they say, "Oh, it dropped 15%, couldn't react, lost 1,000"?
Exactly. Yep. And and that's where, again, and you've heard me say it a million times, what I try and do with the mentorship program, and this goes back to the very first episode of the Steady Trade team, what I'm trying to do is keep people from blowing up, keep people from dying. Okay. Because you can't learn this if you blow up month one or blow up month two. And if you miss it, it's like, it sucks. And again, that's why I was bummed out at the end. It's like, man, I missed it, but it's like, tomorrow's another day. But like you said, at least nobody that listened to me, if PMCB had fell apart at the open, like a lot of sketchy biotechs do, like a lot of them, you gave the 90% stat. Okay. So 90% up until yesterday and today, that was the fact. So I want to keep them safe, and tomorrow's a new day. And, the math, you look at, you got, if you lose 1,000, you got to make 1,000 just to get back to break even, and if you got like some PMCB is going to fucking go right now. It's back at 8.
I don't know.
It's going to go.
Take this.
It's going to go.
I'm not taking it because it's not me fucking patent. It's not me patent. And every time I take
it's 2 o'clock.
I can't make money. It's not me patent.
It's a little early. I think 8 is early, but if 8:50 hits, it's on. Okay, because 8 failed at 1 o'clock. Here we are back at 8. So I think 8 is early, but 8:50's the time. 8:50's the price. I think it goes at that point.
Yeah.
So anyway, What was I saying?
You've got a quadruple bottom on that as well. It's like a quadruple bottom, then it's curled. Now the volumes come in. It's like, yeah. I mean, what were you saying? Well,
I don't know. I don't know
about the fact that
this is where we need Kim. Kim would remember what we were talking about.
She'd be like, "Oh, you were."
Yeah. Oh, back to the point. Again, if you got like a $3,000 account, like you said, you get bagged and you lose $1,000. That's a 30-year account, and it's like I would rather, and it's boring and it's safe, but I would rather you not be in it than lose a 30-year account. I guess that was kind of what and that was the dilemma I had at the end of the webinar, and I was bummed because I'm like, man, I coached a lot of these people through ignoring this thing, and I know a lot of people are seeing dollar signs, but I go back to your 90% stat. I feel like, listen, this was a good decision at the time. So
just to be clear, the 90% stat is like, if the run on day one, the gap down and fail on day two.
So sorry, but anyway, a lot of failed moves.
But there's been like next to no Momo, and obviously, like I say, if VRPX hadn't happened yesterday, but it was just the perfect storm with VRPX happening yesterday, and then PMC.
The beauty of VRPX was like nothing. See, and that's a lesson for the listeners to listen to. Like NAOV was like my number one watch yesterday, and I was like, this thing sucks. I mean, it was like and so it's like when you're looking at just like nothing going on, that's those days that you get a VRPX, So I mean, but anyway, it's surprising how often that happens when there's like nothing, and then all of a sudden there's just like this one degenerate play that goes wild.
But like, that's why trading's so hard, right? Because you've got to feel the energy and flow of the market.
100%. Yeah, I call it reading the room is what I call it. Yeah, yep.
Is that what it is?
It's like,
there's a name.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's like, there's an energy. It's like, it's like you can walk in a bar, for instance, and it might, one night it might be like, it's like just there's no energy here. It's like, and then you go there the next weekend. It's like, man, it's off. It's like there's, and I don't know how to quantify that, but it's like, I mean, you know what I mean. Or you go to a party, it's like this is the lamest party ever. And, or a sporting event. And there's an energy there, and that I think just comes with experience. And I can't really put it to words, but you can feel it. If you've been around enough, you can just like tell that it's a good party or it's a bad party. Yeah. I mean, there's always gonna be a run. I mean, every day there's gonna be some stock that goes, but you can tell when it's a good party and a bad party.
But there's like an energy in the overall market, and then there's an energy within a specific stock as well. Like, for example, NAOV yesterday dumped. I was up like 8%. It dumped on us. NAOV, there's no energy in the market, and the ticker had no energy in it. It was crawling up. It was like struggling up.
So slow for a pretty low float stock too. I mean, it's like 20 million float, but it was moving like a 200 million float.
But then you see PMCB, and you're thinking, I'm gonna have to take this pre-market because I'm gonna miss it because it's lifting up on air, and then
But again, I think, I talk, and we talked about this in the webinar. I mean, listen, people join the Steady Trade team because they're new. So that's why they're there. I mean, you join a mentorship program because you're looking to learn, I joke all the time. I mean, Paul Tudor Jones isn't joining the Steady Trade team. Okay. He's been trading since the 70s. All right. But, so I always caution people to be careful in pre-market, but I mean, you heard me. I had like freaking 12 shitty biotechs on watch at like 9:05 a.m. I'm like, my biggest dilemma was which one to focus on. I mean, you could tell that VRPX brought the party back. It was like everybody. I mean, it's a summer Wednesday. Normally Wednesday's worst day of the week in the summer. That's why we record the podcast on Wednesday. Wednesday afternoons are typically death. and then you come in today and it's like, I couldn't even manage my watch list, but that's reading the room.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because Wednesday is normally a good short day for me, and it must be because it's not such a good long day for you.
Well, I mean, I always, I talk about that. I always that U-shaped volume, and this is a recommendation to the listener out there. I mean, I always say, man, if you can work your schedule, especially if you're new, Fridays and Mondays, man, do 12-hour days on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But if you can get the boss to let you trade Monday morning and Friday afternoon, particularly, those, I think, especially for like newer traders, are the best times. And then, Wednesday, it's kind of like, everybody's fired up, after the weekend, and everybody's kind of fired up going into the weekend,
But do you know what I'd say? That the one thing that I'd say is why you made the right call with being cautious on PMCB is the one thing that new people can't do. What's the one thing that they can't do in the beginning? Would you say
take profits?
Or losses?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, but the reason I say take profits is one of the biggest new, like, listen, you were selling on the way up on PNCB, which again, I compliment you. Now, new traders, I know what they're doing. They're looking at VRPX yesterday and they're like, oh, this might go to 30 or 40 or, and I think like you, obviously taking losses is the number one thing people screw up.
They don't take them.
But they turn, the biggest thing, they turn winners into losers because they don't sell. I mean, again, we talked on the webinar. I mean, I was like, hey, Steven just sold into a $1 rip. I mean, this is a $2 stock. He sold a $1 rip. That's a smart exit. I'm like, I don't care where this thing goes. That's a good sell. And newbies don't do that because they see dollar signs. They see 20.
Dude, you've got to see the process, though. You've got to see the process. Like, what, like, so for example, you've got to think like, what patterns are working and how much money am I making on them? And what percentage am I taking? So say you buy as it reclaims VWAP, you take 10%. It's about, and how much money are you making over a month doing that? It's not. And
here's the biggest thing. And, I know I'm the king. I'm the king of interruptions, but this is, again, that's where and I know you're not under the PDT, but it's like, that's where the PDT trips people up because they don't want to take profits because they don't want to burn the day trades. And it's like, we have like 75 episodes on the PDT, but that's one of the biggest frustrating things for me is, I know what they're doing. They got one trade left and they're like, well, I want to hit a home run with this because when I close this trade, I'm done for 3 days. It's like, it drives me nuts.
No, but like the other thing where like we're very blessed to be, not this month, but normally the market's so hot. If you've been in trading a couple of years, there's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 opportunities. You might not hit them all. You might not trade them all, but there's going to be. So if you're not under PDT and you kind of know the patterns, it's very easy to be like, that one's not working, cut onto the next. It's very easy to do that. But if you're under PDT, it's like, I have to hold on to this for it to work.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it doesn't, I'm screwed. So sucks being under PD, work extra hours, save up extra money.
Yeah.
What's your view? Build yourself over it or trade yourself for profitability or just put the money in?
Well, listen, the reality is, listen, I'm not, 30 grand, that's a lot of money, especially if you're young, it's a lot of money. So the biggest, and you're right, save money, sell shit you don't need, cut your costs, but ultimately, it's going to take you a while. So what I say is, and we recently did an episode on paper trading. I say trade like you're not under the PDT. Okay. Now that means when you're out of trades, you go to paper trading, you get your trades back, you go back and you go back and forth, and maybe it's frustrating and maybe it's annoying, but I think that hybrid approach, because I want you here every day. I want you reading the room. I want you knowing what's going on. And I don't want you, and again, this is what drives me nuts about the PDT. I don't want you making decisions based on that stupid freaking rule. I want you, again, whatever your setup is, I want you trading that every time you see one. And if it's real money, awesome. If it's paper trading, it is what it is. But that's the best advice I can give you, because the problem is, I know a lot of people, they'll burn up their 3-day trades on Monday, then they come back on, and I get it, but then they come back on Friday, but then they haven't really been watching the market because they're like, I got no day trades, and they don't know what VRPX did yesterday and stuff like that.
It's
so
not gonna work.
I mean,
never gonna work. Like,
it sucks, but
at the absolute minimum, you need to have a watch list at the start of the day and go back through it at the end of the day and say, what did each stock do? Which stock needs to be rolled over at the absolute minimum?
See, and like I did that, like for me, I didn't have to deal with the PDT. It was around. I just had enough money. I didn't have to deal with it when I was learning. But keep in mind, 2006, 2007, I had babies, business, I had a lot going on. So there were a lot of days I couldn't trade, but I still did that. Okay. I still, and I've told this story many times. I always I would print the chart in the morning, because basically what I was trying to do is take a snapshot. And I was like, okay, then I would bring up the chart in the afternoon and be like, okay, what did this thing do? So that was my way of like paper trading, even though I wasn't paper trading. I was like, okay, again, PMCB, my number one watch. Okay. But I got client calls. I can't be sitting there in a meeting with a client sitting there trying to trade, which back then you didn't have the mobile apps anyway. It's not like I could sit there on the computer, but I'd be like, okay, this is what I would do. This is where I would enter, et cetera, et cetera. Then I get home at night, I bring up the chart and I'm like, okay, what did PMCB do today? Would it have hit my entry? Would it have stopped me? Would it have hit my goal? So that's, again, and I want you doing that work. And I just think you got to do it. And it's not fun. I mean, it's like, I get it. You're like, well, it's not making me any money. Why would I do that? I don't make me no money, but it's like,
dude, I think it's very fun. Like
I do too. And see, and that's where I think I love that. I enjoyed doing that. And I don't know, it's like, if you don't like doing that, if you're not trying to figure it out, I don't know what you're and feel free to close the podcast right now, but I don't know what your odds of success are. If you're not intellectually curious about it, and that goes for anything. I mean, listen, if you're not intellectually curious about writing books, it's like, you might have an idea, but you'll give up 10 pages in, or in anything, it's like.
Nah, but you should, because obviously I went red, back-to-back red months. I'm green this month, but I was back-to-back red months. Nice. Slow market and I took a loss. But do you know what it is though? Because of that, I started screen recording everything and replaying in real time all of the stocks and the charts and all of the patterns. And like, I was just blown away by like things that I was seeing that I'd not seen before. And even for me, it's like seeing things in a whole nother level again. See, like my advice is screen record. Don't because it's not as good to look at a chart when it's done. Because the price action doesn't look the same when, if a big move happens in the afternoon, the consolidation before the big move, it doesn't look the same. It looks very thin.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's because, I think I'm not, this shows my technical, it's like scaling of the chart or something.
Yeah,
So,
but it's just screen record, watch it in real time and see exactly how and when the move happened. So that's my advice anyway. We've rambled.
And it's like, I always give though, I tell that, it's like, you think about like NFL game film, it's like, listen, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. Listen, these guys, they got families, they got millions of dollars. They got a mansion. They got beautiful wives. They got kids. They got cars. And meanwhile, they're sitting there at, Friday night watching film. And it's like, okay,
watching the table,
yeah, and it's like, it's like, hey, why aren't they out, having fun and stuff? It's like, well, first of all, they're passionate and they're obsessed and they want to be the best. And that's why they're watching film on Friday night versus, at the club spending, $100,000 on bottle service or something. It's like, there's a time for that, but not when you got game day Sunday. It's like so that I think that's the biggest thing, that you got to do that hard work, or and listen, there's guys out there, gals out there that they just have an innate ability, but that's probably not you. Sorry, not me. It's not Steven.
But the good news is honestly, like, maybe you have to do like 3, 4, 5 hours in the early days, but you don't even. I think if you want to get trading over 4 years, you really only need to do 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day every day for 4 years.
But every day,
it has to be every day.
Yes,
but every day for 4 straight years. Not with Netflix on in the back.
Yep.
Like not like I'll just take the dog for a walk in between for half an hour. Like, it needs to be like, what do I want to find? What did I find? What am I going to look at tomorrow to further this? Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It needs to be like that.
And again, I've told that story a million times, but for me, back to when I was getting started, business, little kids, that's when I first started getting up at 5 a.m. because I was like, listen, I'm going to spend, 5 a.m. to like 7:30 a.m. doing exactly that. I was never like a rolling wolf. I was never like 18 hours a day. Full disclosure. Okay. But one thing I did every single day, every Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, I was up doing that work every single, and I still do it today. I mean, I'm still up at 5 a.m. still doing the same shit,
but it's like, even for me though, I'm like, I'll at least do like an hour, an hour, like before the market, just see what's going on, see what I can learn, see what I can pick up, and a few hours on the weekend as well. So that's it. Do you think it's been eerie without Kim?
It has. It's a little different.
It's just because I'm so used to her being there. We're literally fighting. We're fighting over each other for who's the next word. Where is she, by the way? She's in South Africa.
Yes, I think. She's traveling. So yeah. But I don't know. I get too many text messages. That I believe. Yeah. So
sounds good.
So what's new with you? I'm 20 days into 75 hard. I remember you call my cat a homosexual. You said I wasn't gonna. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Spencer,
but my cat Spencer's very masculine, I believe. You say I can't make it you can't make it through 75 hard. I'm roughly a third of the way through.
I really didn't know if you would.
It's bad, dude. Like yesterday was bad, or Monday. I mean, I tell you what.
You hit the weights hard and then you regretted it.
Yeah, and then rode in the afternoon, and again, 2 45-minute workouts a day, every single day. But I tell you, if you want to sleep, man, it's the key.
I was gonna
it's
say
like 8:15, man. It's like I'm like,
yeah, no, I mean, no, it's cool and keep grinding. Are you feeling like better mood and stuff? Better mood?
Oh yeah, I tell you, it's interesting, and if you're wondering, it's you can Brazella, now I'm forgetting his first name, but 75 hard, he runs First Form. It's a book's like $10, but basically the idea is it's just a test, it's a discipline test, but it's all good stuff. Basically, you got to do 2 workouts a day. One of them has to be outside, which I've had some hot days. But then I'll get into some cold days, because I'll be doing this through October, and it'll be not 10, but it'll be 30 degrees out in Michigan. You got to read every day. You got to get a gallon of water. You got to take a progress picture. Just, you got to stick to a diet. Now, one thing I do like is you just pick your diet. I mean, hopefully you don't pick like McDonald's 3 times a day for your diet, but he's very flexible. It's like, hey, just pick a diet. And I just stuck with my, very, very low carb, high protein, low carb. But yeah, it's mentally, I tell you, I really like it. It's fun. It's fun. First few days, like day 4, was bad, man. That volume of working out like that. I mean, I was late. Day 4, I woke up and it was like, I woke up and I thought both my arms were asleep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you're waking up
scary.
Just sort of
scary.
And I'm like, why are both my arms asleep? Normally you sleep on one arm and it's like numb. And then I'm like, and then I'm just like literally crawling out of bed, so, but
yeah, but I think, but then you went on and did extra days though. So you've
obviously, I did it again.
Like Goggins said though, like Goggins says, you push through the pain threshold. And so a capacity that you didn't really know that you had, right? That's kind of how it works.
So I highly recommend it. Again, it's fun. And, and it's just simple stuff, again, and it's all good stuff. You should get a gallon of water, which the water is easy for me. I drink 2 gallons of water. I just automatically, and then just reading. I mean, it's just 10 pages of reading a day, but and that's why the reason I brought it up is it's kind of the theme of this podcast is it's just a little bit every day, read every day, gallon of water a day. Work out every day, every day.
Just a little bit, like 90 minutes of workout's pretty tough.
That's a lot. Yeah. 10 pages. I would say the 10 pages is like
crazy for me.
It's
fucking crazy. That'll take us half a day. But I'll tell you one thing that what I've found, and I'd be interested to hear your point on. So when I did the crazy fasts, do you know when I did the crazy fasts? I would find that I was had a very high level of focus when I was training. I had a very high level of focus at all times. And then when keto, right?
Oh yeah. Again, like what I do, I don't test, but I'm probably in ketosis a lot because again, very, very low carb. I mean,
no bread. You don't eat bread.
Yeah,
no bread, no pasta. Very little.
Again, we talked about this a recent podcast. Like probably the only carbs I get are again like a tortilla shell. It's like, I mean, it's like. And that's not like every day, but just every now and then type thing. But zero bread, zero sugar, etc. So
yeah, because what was crazy for me, right? So I did keto, right? And I did keto without. I thought when you went on keto, we talked about this. I think you made fun of us when someone else made fun of us. When I went on keto, I didn't realize you had a calorie deficit to lose weight. I thought if you just went on keto, you just lost weight, which is stupid.
Yeah, I mean it's still calories. I mean, it's like listen, you can be in ketosis, but if you eat 30 pounds of meat a day, you're not going to lose any weight.
That's what I was doing. I was basically eating a lot of chicken wings, like a lot of chicken wings and a lot of butter. But my mood was like everything was like more stable, better. Less bad thoughts. And then I was like, I'm not losing weight, I'm coming off it, and I fell straight back downhill. And it made us realize, I was like, shit, I need to be on keto just for a way of life, not for a diet. I'm back on it now as a diet, but it's a way of life these days.
See, like for me, and I've joked about like my weakness is pizza. Okay, like it's like that's my kryptonite. Yeah. Okay,
mine too.
And but I'll say this, like, if I eat pizza, dude, it's like I gotta find a couch. It's like, I mean, it's all over. It's like I'm just like, I'm like, hey, I'll be back in that. It's like shoot me with a tranquilizer dart.
Yeah, it's nice, but
it's again, like I said, I don't do the test strips, but I gotta believe when I'm eating, eggs, meat, little bit of vegetables, a lot of butter. Again, I basically follow a keto diet. I just don't screw around with the test strips. I'm just like, whatever,
Yeah, you must be, because it's like if you're exercising all the time, you'll be able to have like 60 grams of carbs, and it sounds like you're getting nowhere near that. It sounds like you're hitting
exactly
20, 25. Except
especially now with 75 hard, because I gotta believe again, I'm rowing, between lifting weights, and then every day I'm rowing at least 10K to get to that 45 minutes. Whatever carbs I get, I gotta believe are getting burned up, especially like in that rowing session.
Unless you're guzzling some secret beers. Are you guzzling any
Nope,
secret beers?
That's part of 75 hard 2, zero alcohol.
Off booze?
So
off alcohol altogether?
Yep.
That would be I've done a month before. It's not
I don't know how you so I'm again it's I'm day 19 and I haven't slipped on anything. So So
do you ever feel like just having a beer now and then? Just think like it's a warm day. Just
first few days, again, full disclosure, I like beer. I posted that to my Instagram. I was like the night before I had pizza and beer. That was my going away party. Okay. But first 3 or 4 days now for me. And then after that, I just forgot about it. And here's the thing is with that workload, like your workload physically, it's it got to the point where, listen, if you drink a couple beers and row a 10K, it's all at least for me, it's coming up, man. It's like, I'm freaking, so it's like, for me, zero temptation after the first few days, so.
Yeah. Whenever I did that rowing challenge.
Yep. Well, the COVID ruined it. Remember that was supposed to be last year. Yeah.
Certainly not me backing out. Is there a conference this year or we don't know what's going on?
I don't think so because remember, as far as I know, especially, remember it was traditionally September. Here we're a month from September, but we got COVID or Delta variant, and it's
not looking good.
Yeah. So,
but I figured out I can get to America if I go in Mexico for 2 weeks. I swear, I have to go through Mexico to be in America, but I can go to America. I'm gonna come.
Okay. So do you hide in a suitcase to get across the border, or what's the plan?
It's just crazy. They won't accept anyone from England, but if you've been in Mexico for 2 weeks, you can fly in from Mexico.
Interesting. I didn't know.
It's like by that time, Corona's like not in your system or whatever. Do you know what I mean? If you'd caught it from England and went to Mexico for 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, but what if you catch it in Mexico?
Well, yeah, it's just bullshit, right? It's just absolutely ridiculous. But so I'm
this where you one of my favorite movies. Have you watched Sicario?
Yeah, it's one of the greatest movies of all time. You've recommended a lot of terrible movies. Sicario is outrageously good.
As you're telling me this, you're just like, hey, all I can do is fly to Mexico and get you in. I'm like that's the entire plot of Sicario.
Very good movie. Benicio del Toro, very good actor. One of the best.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I need to rewatch it. Actually,
there's Sicario 2 as well, right?
Yeah. So
it's probably made for the nice.
So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. I think this was fun. Again, Steven and I love talking stocks. We had some fun, and it's just, I think really the summary is, and I know this is the theme over hundreds of episodes, but just put in that daily work, show up every day, have that long mindset, and even if that's just 2 hours a day. Again, I'm not saying you got to print charts. I'm an old guy, but screenshot them, screen record. You got all this technology like this. Maybe you've seen me on Pre-Market Prep. I've got this big tablet. I draw. Listen, do it with your iPad, do it with your iPhone, whatever. There's so many, and then you save it to Evernote, save it to your pictures. There's so many amazing tools, and just be, that student of the game is what they call it, and I think that going back to like when we talked about Tom Brady, here he is, arguably the greatest ever. And here we are, it's training camp. He's probably watching film right now. What more does he have to prove to anybody? But he's probably, on Wednesday afternoon at 2:00, he's probably in the basement of some training facility watching some crappy tape of a game from 3 years ago or something, because he wants to be the best. So
I fully agree. Love it. Feel inspired. Can I just get your prediction on PMC on? I'll give you mine. Just as a closing. It's
trying. If I say,
I know.
So this is so again. Let's recap. August 18th, 2021. It's currently 2:23 p.m. It's at $8.20. VWAP is 760. If this breaks 850, I think it goes. If it fails on 850, I think you got a good stop in the high maybe 790s. Okay. So maybe you risk that 8 fail. You lose 50, 60, 70 cents for the potential that this goes to new highs. So that's the key. $8.50. If it breaks it, we got an hour and a half left in the day. I think it goes. No ifs, buts, and maybes. What's your closing price prediction? No ifs, buts, and maybes. Okay, fair enough. 10. I said it this morning. 10. I think it can hit 10. Yeah. I was on the web. You heard me this morning. I said this thing's going. As I was all depressed at the end of that webinar, I'm like, it's going 10. I said that at 9:40 a.m.
Went to 985.
Yep. So what's your prediction?
Right where it is now, 820s.
You think it's just gonna chop around and close? Okay, fair enough.
Close 820s. Yep. Whether it freaks, whether it chops around after hours, I think ultimately this one might closes 820, might pop like 850, 860, a scare shorts, but then it'll be a first red day tomorrow, is my guess. There's no news. It's BS. That is the biggest. The biggest issue, and again, that was my recapping. We already said it. That was my biggest issue this morning. And remember, and this might be confusing if you're new. You might be like, well, you guys always say BS news, but then you're like, we want news. Understand. First of all, most people are stupid and don't even read the news. They just see a headline. Okay, but one of the things we want is something for people to get excited about, and that's what the press releases are. I mean, listen. If you issue a press release that isn't exciting, you should be fired. Okay. That your job, if you're in investor relations, is to write a spicy press release. So we like to see that. In this case, no news. It's really just in both our opinions, I think it's really just kind of like a sympathy idea to VRPX yesterday that had news. So, but. Yeah, no, I think the trade was buying somewhere near that like quadruple bottom, just as it was perking off. I think that was your only trade on it. But we'll see. I'll send you a text later. We'll see where we are. And otherwise, I'm on Twitter, but it's not fun anymore because, sorry for keeping this extra, but all of the fun people aren't there anymore. Not saying names, but all my favorite people are like blew up and gone.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's a bummer, man.
Netflix.
I know. Yeah, exactly. All the cheat codes are gone, man. It's like that. I developed the whole cheat code philosophy in like 2016, where it's like, oh, he's shorting it. Ho ho ho.
So there you go.
All right. Have a good day, Steven. Have a good day, everyone. As always, share, like, subscribe, head over to steadytrade.com. Again, we bring up past episodes. The still my favorite is the first one with JJ VWAP Trader. They're all linked there, steadytrade.com. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.